Honorable Professor Erin Sambili, Minister of the East African Community and Acting Minister for Higher Education, Science and Technology, Professor Frida Brown, Vice Chancellor, United States International University, Dr. Richard Iliki, Chair of the Board of Trustees, faculty, staff, and students of USIU, as well as those from other universities, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Honorable Sambili, for the kind introduction, and to the leadership of USIU. I want to say thank you for inviting me to be part of this celebration marking 40 years of educating young Africans to play an important role in the societies they belong to, including those I have seen from my own country. USIU could not have reached this important milestone without a vision of education and leadership shared by its founders, staff, and faculty. Certainly, the high caliber of USIU graduates over the years reflects the aspirations that this university began with. It is an honor for me to be here today and contribute to the conversation on how universities should position themselves to play an increasing role in developing the next generation of African leaders that will transform our continent. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in the last 2 decades, we have witnessed a phenomenal expansion of university education across our continent. But today's Africa is radically different from that of past generations, and therefore universities have to adapt and meet our ever-changing demands if we are to seize the opportunities of this new century. For example, this generation has the potential to use new technologies which have already made a huge difference to the lives of Africans. Indeed, it can shape the social and economic development of this continent. But to do this, it needs the skills in science and technology, in finance and business, in health and education, to mention but a few. And I trust that institutions such as USIU will produce quality leaders in these fields and more to realize the dreams we all have for our continent. Faculty and students, ladies and gentlemen, for our universities to attain this shared vision, we need to invest more in quality higher education. But this entails more than giving students a firm foundation of knowledge in their subject and increased autonomy and responsibilities. it means giving today's graduates the practical skills to find innovative and practical solutions to the needs of their communities. Sadly, this is not always the case. Today, Africa only has a handful of research and development institutions, and research in science, technology, and biomedicine is nearly non-existent for the continent that stands to benefit most from all this. Similarly, we have underinvested in business leaders. To give one stark example, despite the rapid expansion of MBA programs in Europe, especially in the UK and Asia, there are only about 60 MBA programs in Africa, serving a continent of 1 billion people, and some of these institutions are not even accredited. In contrast, the United States, with roughly 1/3 of Africa's population, has over 600 MBA programs. If Africa is to play its role on the world stage, it is imperative that we broaden the function of universities across Africa to fill this need. We need universities that can train students in practical as well as leadership skills that the future leaders of Africa should have in order to drive development effectively. Economists, lawyers, scientists, and others. We need to seize the new investment opportunities in Africa by training entrepreneurs with a strong sense of responsibility, accountability, and a commitment to service for both the public and private sector. For this shift to happen, 4 conditions will have to be fulfilled. First, we should integrate university education into national policy, identifying gaps and providing courses that fill the needs across all sectors. Second, the university will have to develop closer ties with the private sector and communities that their graduates will serve. Third, they will have to make innovations in their curricula and teaching methodologies so that they offer tailor-made courses that impact skills for specific needs and carry out research that their communities can access and benefit from. Fourth, we will need to look at alternative sources of funding apart from the traditional government support for public education institutions. Even private institutions rely heavily on foundation bodies and tuition fees, which is neither predictable nor sustainable. The private sector, which is a growing consumer of university graduates, should become a more active partner in sharing the costs of their education. These changes are within our reach, and universities like USIU, which are already delivering some of the courses I mentioned, should serve as an example of how these critical gaps we are facing can be filled. distinguished audience, I have dwelt mainly on the role of the faculty and the policy makers in governments in aligning our university education to the challenges of today and tomorrow. But while all these are important, it is our students whom we must invest in most. Throughout history, people have sought education because they aspire to a better life for themselves, their families, and their communities. There is something special about young people, a sense that anything is possible and that they can change their circumstances and the world around them for the better. In Africa, this sense of limitless possibility is needed more today than ever before. To translate this into a truly brighter future, you, our youth today, must have the right attitude and the right mindset, believing that you have what it takes to succeed and not being deterred by challenges you face. With this foundation, you can then acquire the skills that will make you top lawyers, business executives, engineers, and ICT specialists. And it is only then that you can realize not only your personal and professional ambitions, but also connect them to the well-being of others. As the next generation of African leaders, you should contribute to the continent's ongoing development, critically examining established wisdom, determining what should be retained and what should be modified to address our present challenges and those ahead of us. This is the leader the new university has to produce, a person who holds themselves and others to the highest standards, who understands their context and can participate in solving Africa's complex challenges and creating prosperity. Honorable ministers, faculty and students, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we must, in our different roles, rise to the challenge of the 21st century. Young people, you need to develop values of integrity, honesty, and a sense of duty, because this builds character. And this is what will make you successful as individuals, but also transform our societies.